Harris walls, obviously. I'm Michael Smerconish in Philadelphia. The biggest surprise in an election that was full of them was that Donald Trump broke 50%. Count me among the many who said that he had a high floor but a low ceiling, meaning that his vote total had a baked-in limitation. As president, he was never above water. According to Gallup, his approval rating never broke 50%. His average while in office was just 41%. In the 2016 election, he received 46.1% of the popular vote while winning the Electoral College. In the 2020 election, his vote share rose slightly to 46.9% as he lost the Electoral College. This time around, there was no robust third-party movement to siphon votes from his opponent. Still, he never ran a campaign based on persuasion. After the events of January 6, 2 impeachments, 4 criminal indictments, 1 conviction on 34 counts, and countless comments that seemed self-destructive, he was always hell-bent on motivation, not persuasion. As the New York Times said, at times, Mr. Trump could be so crude and self-indulgent on the stump that aides wondered if he were engaged in an absurdist experiment to test how much aberrant behavior voters would tolerate.
Give Smerconish some credit. He's trying to exist in a world of logic, introspection, really trying to ask some deep, serious questions as to where it all went wrong. Let's get busy. Remember, don't like, share, or subscribe. What are you trying to do? Blow up the channel or something? I got enough on my plate.
Trump's victory was due to support from a multi-racial working-class group of voters. The coalition includes 1 in 3 voters of color who voted for Trump. Trump increased his support with Hispanic voters by double digits compared to 2020. Trump carried Hispanic men by 10 points. Trump improved his support with voters ages 18 to 29 by 10 points, 10 plus points. Most amazing is that he did it in the context of nonstop documentation and reportage in the media of every one of what the New York Times called those crude and aberrant statements. And sometimes the amplification was just too predictable and too loud. Case in point, the blowback from a joke about Puerto Rico told by a comedian during his Madison Square Garden rally. The joke was indefensible, but it was a joke.
So we really liked this clip, which is why we pulled it, because there was really a deep dive analysis of what happened post-election. And what happened post-election across all demographics of society? People flocked to Trump. Why? Because people are feeling the real strain and stresses of bad decision making that resulted from DEI, from platitudes, from equality, whatever that means, however you interpret that. Reversing, hell-bent on destroying Trump's legacy or anything he's done, hell-bent, reversed all his executive actions and orders. Remain in Mexico? No, come across the border. We'll pay for it. No big deal. The government's not paying for it. You're paying for it. I'm paying for it. Your city is paying for it. For people to illegally come across the border and drag on the social services of our society for people that they're not escaping tyranny and like people that were leaving Cuba, some real dictatorship. They're leaving Venezuela and Ecuador and all those southern locales for a better life. And nobody can say anything wrong about that. Everybody should have the opportunity to better their lives. But stand in line and wait. Don't just put a foot over the border. Safe! And then all of a sudden you're getting cell phones and EBT cards and you're getting housing and you're getting all of the benefits that all the taxpayers are providing, and then you're contributing nothing, maybe little, to the culture. And then again, you have a lot of people coming across the border and they're becoming, with criminal intent, these illegal migrants are dragging down the cities. You can't invent money out of the clear blue sky. You can, but that's how we got into this problem in the first place in terms of quantitative easing. But at least there are some, like Smerconish there, that are trying to look at what went on in this election. And you know what went on? People voted with their pocketbooks. Trump spoke to those people, basically saying, I'm going to put money back in your pocket. We're going to go back to a day where you have cheap gas and cheap groceries and opportunity to get into a house because you have an interest rate that's cheap, lower rates on debt service. These are things people understand. They understand their credit card minimum payment. They understand their mortgage payment. They understand their car payment. I have a friend who's in the car business. The rate that dealership can buy from the bank to sell to the customer to get him a car loan is like 25% because people have bad credit. They have no real money to put down. That means that on a $20,000 car note loan, the payment's like $800 a month before you even get to gas and insurance and the like. Within a year or two, you could have bought that car twice. It's absurd. But at least they're doing a deep dive as far as how this election went in 2024. That people revealed, hey, I'm like the billionaire, a blue-collar guy who spoke to people like real people, didn't placate them with platitudes, told them real stuff. Hey, listen, you're starving, we're losing, we're getting our lunch eaten from us by Iran and China and Russia. We got to kick all these people to the curb that are taking advantage of us. We need to put the boot into the ass of those countries that think they're better than us, so they're going to lead the world. We are the leaders, and we are the example for the free world, and we're going to make it that way because we win. That's a winning message. That's make America great again. But let's see more of this deep dive. Let's go.
The headline on this essay, Stop Pretending Trump is Not Who We Are. This is a long graph, but I want to read it. There have been so many attempts, he writes, to explain away Trump's hold on the nation's politics and cultural imagination, to reinterpret him as aberrant and temporary. Normalizing Trump became an affront to good taste, to norms, to the American experiment. Well, we can now let go of such illusions. Trump is very much a part of who we are. Nearly 63 million Americans voted for him in 2016, 74 million did so in 2020, and now, once again, enough voters in enough places have cast their lot with him to return him to the White House. Trump is no fluke, and Trumpism is no fad. After all, what is more normal than a thing that keeps repeating? Carlos Lozada writes, in recent years, I've often wondered if Trump has changed America or revealed it. That's going to be the poll question. I decided that it was both, that he changed the country by revealing it. After Election Day 2024, I'm considering an addendum. Trump has changed us by revealing how normal, how truly American he is. And then this is my favorite graph, because I think it sums it all up. Throughout Trump's life, he has embodied every national fascination. Money and greed in the 80s, sex scandals in the 90s, reality television in the 2000s, social media in the 2010s. Why wouldn't we deserve him now?
Those are the single greatest lines in any article the New York Times has ever published. Why do you think Trump won? He won because he is emblematic of our society. He says what everybody's thinking. All the other politicians, they say what they think you want to hear. That is the word, and the people know they're being lied to. Yet the people that have a various degree of mental illness, pick whatever it is, anxiety, depression, body image disorder, body dysmorphia, they have low confidence, poor self-esteem, reduced, diluted self-perception, they've been harmed or hurt by somebody else. Somebody spoke nasty to me. Oh my God, you've hurt my feelings. I can't vote for Bad Orange Man. He says things that hurt my feelings. Ridiculousness. But for the rest of us, he is a reflection of society. A society, why are you so surprised? You've been fed a steady diet of just dirty, disgusting reality television, of materialism, TikTok brain, Facebook, Instagram, where people celebrate themselves, where they are, what they're doing, their clout. They're being a slow, steady diet, fed Pornhub and YouPorn. Okay? Everything in society is sexualized, sensationalized. Okay? We are celebrating what we have, where we live, what vacation we went on. We all want to try to be social media superstars. Me included? Whatever. But everybody who has a camera, right, wants to get onto YouTube, Instagram. They want to make a name for themselves. Trump just did it better than everybody. He is the archetype of what everybody wants to be. Powerful, successful, famous. He did it better and more than everybody else. That's why Mark Cuban hates him. Because Mark Cuban couldn't possibly be as successful or as charismatic as Trump, as great a speaker, as popular. That's why he hates him. That's why Bush hated him. That's why the Clintons hate Trump. He's world famous. And he didn't have to be a liar about it. He just had to be himself. Larger version of his own character and self. That's why McCain hated Trump. That's why Romney hated Trump. They were jealous. He ran for president once and won. But he's been saying the same thing consistently for all the years anyone. Go back in time. I was looking at interviews back 10, 12, 15, 30 years ago. He's still saying all the same things. China's eating our lunch. Japan's eating our lunch. Our leaders are stupid. They're spending money that we don't have, and they're driving us into a tremendous fiscal cliff of disaster on incoming. He's been saying this for decades. And you know what? You may not like what he says or how he says it, but what he says he believes, and in many cases, prophetically, becomes true. Let's continue.
Today's poll question at Smerconish.com asks just that. Has Donald Trump changed America, or has he revealed it? And that essay reminded me of something that Michael Wolff reported about Donald Trump in his book, Fire and Fury. Wolff tells a story about Trump at a time when he was riding high in Atlantic City. He's aboard a private flight with friends, and Trump proposes a detour to Atlantic City, causing one other passenger to voice an objection who says that place is for white trash. And an unnamed foreign model, according to Michael Wolff, then says, "What is white trash?" And Trump replies, "They're people just like me, only they're poor." So true that the billionaire became the champion of a working class whose fathers were largely union members and voted for Democrats. The image of Donald Trump from this campaign that I'll most remember, it's not the fight photo after he was shot. No, it's this, taken on a Saturday last May at a rally in Wildwood, New Jersey. Trump was never going to win New Jersey, but he nevertheless attracted 100,000 people, according to ABC7. And understand this, the Jersey Shore is where we Pennsylvanians go to spend our summers, or to spend our one summer week of vacation. And the towns, they attract distinctly different demographics. Wildwood has always been a bastion for the white working class. In his speech that day, in what he would call his weave, Trump told a story about Frank Sinatra never eating before a performance. And then he told the crowd that he, however, had just devoured an enormous hot dog. The crowd roared. As the campaign progressed, the more these folks were told that they couldn't vote for Donald Trump, the more they hunkered down. Imagine you're a member of a group whose leader is pilloried every day as a fascist, a racist, a dictator. You'd be asking, well then, what do you think of me? And that's when the wagons were circled. Eventually, they'd be called garbage by President Biden, even though his own kind would have been Wildwood people too. So many of Trump's campaign statements were indefensible. But maybe voters wanted to reach that conclusion themselves and not be told by a media that looked coordinated or celebrities who thought that their talents gave them a license to browbeat.
And I'm sorry if you voted for Harris or you're on the left. This is a moment of inflection and introspection. The reason why the right won was not because it had a lie that was better. It had a message that made sense. It didn't speak down to people or browbeat people or try to separate people. It was a message of we can win. We can be successful. We can flush out those people that are taking advantage of us. The countries across the world that are trying to puff up their chest and bully us, we're going to bully them. We're going to push back on them. And we're going to do it without putting our kids boots on the ground in other countries trying to export democracy to places that they don't want it. That's a winning message. Now it's coming out that people like Eminem and Beyonce and Oprah, their endorsements weren't for free. They were paid for those things, right? And now I don't know if there were people that were paid on the right, those celebrity endorsements. Then again, if you're making your vote based on what a celebrity says, you need some help, okay? But everybody it's the end of democracy as we know it. Yet Mika and Joe from MSDNC, well, they were on the doorstep of Mar-a-Lago just this week, kissing the ring. As the corporate overlords told them to do, hey, listen, your ratings are down 40%. I swear, if you don't go down there and kiss the ring and make nice with Orange Man, you two are gone. We don't care. You go make nice. You're talking about he's Hitler. He's Pol Pot. He's Kim Jong-un. He's all of the worst names. Mussolini. Pick your favorite dictator. All rolled into one. Yet Joe's like, oh, welcome back to the White House, Don. So crazy. So it was all a ruse. I guess he really wasn't a threat to democracy because you wouldn't let him back in the White House if he was a threat to democracy. I guess he wasn't Hitler because you don't want to be seen shaking hands with Hitler. But this is what I'm saying. It was just all a big con job by the left. You brought out every celebrity you could. Hillary 2.0 to try to prop up Kamala, who had no charm, no charisma, no strength about her. Inauthentic, just like Hillary. Inauthentic, and people saw through it. But yet the entire time, all the left did was just pump their chest about how they were going to win. Donald Trump will never be president. You ever see those compilations on YouTube? Go watch Donald Trump will never be president compilations. None of them came out and said, I was wrong. Some of them did, but very obnoxiously. What about all these celebrities said they were going to leave the country? We're waiting. Time to go.
And then the final weekend before the election, one of the most prestigious pollsters in the nation said that Trump was trailing in Iowa by 3 points. Trailing in Iowa? In the stampede to give life to Ann Selzer's analysis, the media overlooked an Emerson College survey released at the same time that said, no, Trump was up 10 in the Hawkeye state as anticipated. The Des Moines Register poll did not deter his voters. Maybe it motivated them. And the final result was Trump up by 13 percentage points in Iowa. As a lifelong resident of Philadelphia and its surrounding counties, being the focal point of this campaign has been an interesting experience for me. The in-person outreach, the commercials, the texts. And in the weeks leading up to the election, I paid close attention to the yard signs in the Philly burbs. And one caught my eye, and immediately, after seeing it for the first time, I said on my SiriusXM radio program that I thought it was tone deaf. And at the boomerang, it said this, Harris Walls, obviously. Maybe I should say it as Harris Walls, obviously. As in, how could you ever think otherwise? You don't think we'd ever consider voting for him, do you? Do you see this house? Do you think we'd ever step foot in Wildwood? We're Stone Harbor people. We're Avalon people. We go to Loveladies. I don't know how many of the Wildwood people saw those yard signs, but they got the unwelcoming message.
And so here we are at the wrap-up. I saw that same sign. Harris Waltz. Obviously. Obviously what? What was so obvious about them? The two of them, and it's great, the projection campaign, I hope people see it now, where they were calling J.D. Vance weird. He's weird. Till he popped up on Joe Rogan. Nothing weird about him. Regular guy, just like everybody else. A Marine, a father. He says, I got to do better as a father. My child using the F-bomb on a plane. It's just real stuff, right? He himself is cursing throughout the whole Joe Rogan podcast. That's real. That's authentic. Know your audience. Know where you are. Know what to say, what to not to say, depending upon what audience you're in front of. But Harrison Waltz, the both of them, strange, awkward, weird, uncomfortable to watch them talk. Harris always trying to grasp, right, yeah, well, I've been all over this country. And as you know, I grew up in a middle-class family. I know you have dreams. I know you have aspirations. You have goals. Yet, this person offered nothing about any of that. What are you going to do on day one? Well, I know you have dreams, aspirations, and I'm from the middle class. What's Trump saying? Day one, close the border, drill, baby, drill. Real simple. Everybody understands that message. I don't have to sit back and go, dreams, aspirations, you're from a middle-class family, you have goals. None of that. I have all those things, dreams, aspirations, goals. How am I going to get these things to happen? How am I going to get these things to happen when gas is 40, 50% more than it was 4 years ago? How am I going to make these things happen when debt service on my lines of credit for my business and my house are over the moon? How am I going to make my dreams, aspirations happen so I can get back out of the middle class and back into the upper class again like I was 4 years ago? How am I going to make that happen if the business is not coming in the door because people don't have the extra $300, $400, $500 a month? We're going to just hang our hopes on dreams, aspirations? No, we're not. So I'll tell you what was obvious to me. It was not voting for Harris or Waltz.